Kia ora, welcome. My name's Caroline. Thanks so much for signing in and joining me today for this short yoga practice. Doesn't matter if you've ever done yoga before, if this is your first time, if you're a seasoned expert. We're all gonna just take our time here, take it slowly. Notice how we're feeling, stretch out our bodies, maybe slow down our breathing, and hopefully finish the session feeling a little calmer, a little better than we did when we started. So I'll give you a second to get settled in. We're going to start in a seated position. You can sit on the ground as I am. You can sit on a couch, in a chair, however you feel most comfortable. You don't need to be cross-legged. I'm only sitting that way because that's comfortable in my body. So look for something that feels okay for you. If you're not 100% comfortable, please make sure you're not in any pain. Feel free to use the support of a pillow as I am, or any other props that could help you to feel a bit more comfortable. And then once you found that comfortable seat, we're going to take 3 really deliberate breaths here, just as a way of kind of bringing all of our attention into the moment. So we're going to inhale deeply through the nose. And then if you can, open your mouth, sigh, make a noise if you'd like as you exhale. And just 2 more times like that. A big full breath in, letting that breath go. 1 more time, nice steady full breath in. Sigh or a sound as you breathe out. Good. Taking a second just to notice how your body feels as we start here. So if you're carrying around an injury or some tension, some discomfort in your body, just kind of getting a sense for where that is, so that as we go through the session, you can kind of look after yourself, support yourself. Everything I'm doing here is optional. So I'm looking at you choosing how much or how little you want to participate and to what level. So I'll try to give you some options to be able to find something that feels right in your body. Great. So we'll start with a breathing practice called box breathing or square breathing. This is a breath that helps our nervous system to kind of slow down a little bit, that helps us to maybe let go of sometimes the chaos that's happening up in our heads and just be a little bit more in the moment. So square breathing is a 4-part breath. We inhale, we hold our breath, we exhale, and we hold our breath. Each part of your breath, each side of that square is equal. So I'm going to suggest starting by counting the breath, and we're going to use the number 4. You can choose any number that you'd like if 4 doesn't work for you. And then for some people, holding their breath just doesn't feel great. If you don't want to hold your breath, you can take the inhale and the exhale and leave out those 2 parts where we hold our breath. So I'll count it out a couple of times, and then I'll leave you to do it a few times on your own. So if you want to join in, so we're all on the same page. Nice steady breath in, just like we did a moment ago. Let that breath go through your nose or your mouth. And then we'll begin with square breathing, inhaling 1, 2, 3, 4, and we hold our breath. 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. And again, we hold the breath. 1, 2, 3, 4. Same pattern again. Inhale. Hold the breath. Exhale. And hold the breath out. So that's the pattern. If 4 works for you, just continue with 4. You can choose any other number, as I said, maybe 2 or 3 more rounds like that, just as a way to really kind of slow things down and bring them into the present moment. So one of the reasons that we tend to feel better after a yoga practice is that we've been present with ourselves and not sort of lost in the past or worrying about the future. And this sort of a breathing practice can help us to be more in the moment. And maybe 1 more cycle like that. As you move through the session today, feel free to have your eyes open, to have your eyes closed, whatever feels safer or more comfortable for you today. And just as you finish that last round of square breathing, take a second to check in. Notice how you feel. Even after the first couple minutes there, do you feel similar? Do you feel different from when you started, from when you first sat down? So we'll begin with some movement now. We're just going to move our arms to begin with. You can choose to either open and close your arms, or you might like to circle and release the arms back down. Your choice. Let's do that and try and link it up with our breathing. So just see how you go. If that feels a little bit too much, don't worry about the linking. Just come to find a movement that feels okay in your body. So as you inhale, you may be lifting your arms up, and as you exhale, bringing them back down. Or you may be choosing to open the arms out as you inhale and close them back in as you exhale. Looking to create your own rhythm here. So you don't need to sync up with me, but rather just sync up with your own internal rhythm. What feels right to you, following your own pattern of breath, your own speed. Maybe 3 more times. Noticing as you do so, just the sensations that come up in your body. How does it feel to move like that? Where do you notice those sensations? Is it okay to feel what you're feeling? Do you need to back off? Do you want to go stronger? All of that up to you as you go through the session. We'll pause there, hands together, maybe letting our eyes turn down towards the tips of our fingers. Taking a second to really push the hands against each other there as you observe the tips of your hands. Just giving your eyes something to focus on. We know that where our eyes go, our attention goes. So if your eyes are drifting around the room, your attention is probably moving around the room. And that's normal. It's okay to scan your space from time to time, but then coming back to notice yourself, your own body, your own experience. Good one. From here, we're going to release the hands, bringing one hand down onto the floor and reaching the other arm up and over. If you're sitting in a chair, you might have that hand on your seat rather than the floor as you take a side stretch here. If that feels too much on that top shoulder, you can always drop the arm down, taking a full breath in, noticing the way the breath comes in, stretches and expands into your side body and out. We'll come up through center and just take that over to the second side. Hand on the floor, or maybe onto your chair or couch, wherever you're sitting. Leaning it over to whatever level feels okay in your body. We've all got different bodies. We'll all have different needs as we go through this session. So up to you. Good. And we come up and out of that. If you're feeling uncomfortable in your seat and you need to shift around, please feel free. We'll just do a couple more things here from sitting. We're going to take a twist now, bringing one hand behind you and the other hand onto your opposite leg. So whether you're sitting with your legs in front of you, cross-legged, however, you're taking your arm across and using that hand on your leg to help guide you into your twist. The hand that's behind, it might just push into your seat a little bit or push into the ground and help to lift your spine nice and tall. Inhaling, and as you breathe out, twisting around, noticing how that's feeling in your body. Can you still breathe freely? Is everything tensing up in response? So if you have a response like that, your body is tensing up, can't breathe properly, maybe take that as a sign to back off a little bit, less of a twist. Coming back through center, we'll go right over to the other side, using the hand behind as a way to keep the spine lifted. So we push into that hand and maybe reach up through the top of the head, breathing in. As you breathe out, turning in the opposite direction. So again, we don't need to push or pull or muscle yourself around as far as you can get, but rather look for a twist that feels okay, where you can still breathe freely. You can notice your spine is twisting, but it's not so intense that you're tensing up in response. Good one. We'll come back through to center, taking the arms out in front of you. We're going to interlace the fingers and push the back of your hands away, allowing your back to round, maybe your chin to drop in towards your chest, stretching out this area at the back of your shoulders, your upper back and neck. And then from there, turning the hands so the palms push out, and then beginning to lift the gaze, lifting the arms just as high as is comfortable in your body, in your shoulders, your arms, pushing out through your palms to stretch the fingers, the hands, and up and into your shoulders, eventually letting your fingers come undone and your arms float back down alongside your body. Just a gentle release for the shoulders here, some circles if that feels all right. Taking the circles one way and the other, noticing what the range of motion is in your shoulders today, where they move with ease, where they might feel a bit sticky. Good one. And then the same with the neck. So we'll just move the head around in an effort to release tension or gripping, holding through the muscles of the neck. Allowing your head as much or as little movement as you'd like. And maybe at the same time, checking in with the muscles around your jaw. Sometimes if we're feeling a little bit overwhelmed or tense, we tend to clench our teeth together, clench those muscles at our jaw. And you might just take the opportunity to wiggle the hinges of your jaw, or even to take the hands there and massage those muscles that are inside your cheeks and down to your jaw. Good. Awesome. We'll come back through to center with the head, and we'll shift from our seat into a tabletop position. So we're going to come onto the ground, onto our yoga mats, and onto our hands and our knees. So just taking your time to get there. We'll bring the hands or the wrists underneath the shoulders, the knees underneath the hips. So lots of options here, lots of alternatives. If you do have some discomfort or pain in your wrists, you could also be on your fists or your elbows. If the knees are hurting at all, you could put some padding there underneath your knees, a blanket or pillows to support the knees. This next movement is called cat and cow. And if being on hands and knees is just not accessible, it's not where you want to go today, this can also be done from seated. So I'll demonstrate it from this tabletop position and then also from seated. So depending on which option feels better for you. So we're just moving our spine a little bit. As you inhale, the very base of your spine, your tailbone starts to lift, your belly drops down. And then at the same time, your chest might lift up a little bit. So we're arching our back. And then rounding the spine as you breathe out, the tailbone hugs under, the spine rounds up like a cat. Your head might drop down. Inhaling and just moving those waves through the spine, and exhaling. That movement can be as small or as big as you'd like, just what feels right in your body. If being on hands and knees, again, just does not feel okay to you, please know that this can certainly be done from any seated position. It's the same movement of your spine. As you inhale, the shoulders draw back, the chest lifts forward and up. And as you breathe out, the shoulders come forward, the back rounds, the chin drops. So whether you're choosing to be on all fours or in a seated position, totally up to you. Maybe 2 more cycles like that. So again, we attempt to link breathing and movement. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. Don't worry too much. Good. And then we'll finish coming through that last cycle. Great. And we'll take it into a resting position called child's pose. If you're on all fours, I'll have you maybe separate your knees a little bit wider. Begin to sit your hips back towards your heels. Now they might not come to touch your heels, and that's fine. You could also put a pillow or a blanket rolled up back there behind your hips as a prop to sit on. Your head comes down towards the ground, and if it doesn't reach the ground, again, you could take a prop there underneath your head or stack up your hands and create a surface for your forehead to rest on. Alternatively, if you're choosing not to be on your hands and your knees, you might choose to sit and find a resting position there. With child's pose, we have our head resting on the ground, so you could take your hands and provide a surface for your forehead just to kind of drop down into. Sometimes just that simple act of resting the forehead tells our nervous system that in this moment, all is well. We can sort of settle and rest and relax for a moment. Let's take a couple more breaths here from this position. Good one. And then we'll come back up from there, back up into our tabletop shape. We'll do one more thing from here, and then we'll come up and stand on our feet. So we're going to extend the leg opposite leg and arm. This as well can be done from a seat. I'll show you that in a moment. So from here on all fours, one leg extends behind you, either with your toes down on the ground or with your foot up off the ground. So there's the first step here in this opposite arm and leg, and you just sort of notice how that feels and adjust your stance based on that. Notice if the muscles at your center are supporting your lower back, so a gentle hugging in there might be helpful. And then maybe your opposite arm extends forward. So again, foot can be on the ground or off the ground, arm can be on the ground or off the ground. Notice if you're holding your breath. Maybe it would be helpful to keep the breath moving. One more steady breath in and out, releasing back down. And then repeating that on the other side. If you're choosing to do that from a seat, you're simply taking one leg out in front of you and possibly the opposite arm as well. And then shifting that over to the other side. So you choose. Maybe another couple of breaths here on this side. Good. And then releasing. We're going to come up onto our feet. If you're on all fours, just tucking the toes now behind you, walking your hands towards your knees, pushing into the hands and lifting the knees up, rolling yourself up a little bit. If you're in a seat, just coming onto your feet, hands resting on your legs. So we're here in a slightly lifted standing forward bend. Your hands may be down by your ankles or up by your hips or anywhere in between. Just find what feels right so that you're not in pain in your lower back or your hamstrings. Taking a steady breath in as you push against your legs with your hands. Then exhaling, staying where you are, choosing another variation to dangle or rest your elbows or hold your elbows here. We're going to take 3 full breaths in our own unique variation of our standing forward bend. 2 more breaths. And just 1 more breath here. Taking it nice and slowly to roll your way up to stand. So as not to get dizzy, I'm going nice and slowly so that when I get up, the room isn't spinning for me. Great. And as you come up, taking that time to kind of release anything that feels clenched or tight, like the shoulders, the wrists, the hands. Just change the angle of my camera a little bit here. Okay. So we'll take a few moments to work on that linking again of the breath and the movement. So we did these circles of our arms from sitting. Might be a little bit easier to access those circles from standing. Again, you can choose to open and close the arms or to circle them around. We'll do 3 of those and then build that into a bigger movement. So starting here in mountain pose, feet are planted, legs are engaged, nice and strong. Shoulders might roll back and down, lifting up tall through the top of your head. So a mountain, thinking about the qualities of a mountain, standing tall, strong, firm, maybe even envisioning a mountain to which you connect. And the qualities of that particular mountain, bringing them into the way that you're standing. We'll inhale and either reach the arms up again or open the arms out and exhale to bring the hands back to where you started. 2 more times, inhaling and exhaling. And once more, just like that. Good one. This time we'll build on that. So we're reaching up, inhale, hands come together, exhale to come forward, just as you did a moment ago. Hands might be at your waist, your ankles, or anywhere in between. Steady breath in as you push against your legs, inhale. Stay there or fold into a different shape as you exhale. We're coming all the way back up, maybe reaching up, and then exhale back to where we began. 2 more of those. Inhale, reaching up, maybe looking up towards your own hands. Exhale to come forward as much or as little as you like. Inhale, pushing against the legs, maybe lengthening your back by reaching your head forward. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale all the way up. Exhale back to where you began once more. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale, pushing against the legs. Exhale and fold. Inhale all the way back up. And exhale, release. Hands come back down and alongside your body. Awesome. Taking a side stretch from here, similar to what we did from sitting, either hand on waist or hand on your leg, leaning it over. So it may be enough to just gently lean and drop the ear, or you may like to take your arm up and over at the same time and allow your hips to move in the opposite direction. Really opening up some space through the side body there, coming back up through center. Second side, choosing how much you would like to lean into this. No judgment. You're not trying to mimic or mirror what I'm doing, but rather look for the shape and the movement that suits your body today. One more breath. And we come back up and through to center. Awesome. Let's take the arms and reach them back up and overhead. Bringing the hands back down through center as we did before. Maybe let your eyes look towards your fingertips, giving your gaze something to focus on, to focus our attention, to bring us into the moment. Notice the texture of your hand against the opposite hand, the temperature. And then we'll rub the hands together, creating a different temperature, perhaps some warmth and friction there between the hands. Looking at your own body or considering your own body somewhere that might be uncomfortable in your body and taking your warmed hands and placing them there. Or alternatively, just gently closing your eyes and putting the hands over your eyes, allowing your eyes to rest. So choosing where you'd like to place the warmed hands and just pausing there for a moment. Noticing that temperature, noticing the contact of hands against your body. One more moment. Awesome. We'll release the hands back down to your sides. So we're going to build on that movement we've just been doing and turn that into a full sun salutation. What we've been doing is a half of a sun salutation, and we'll build on that. So I'll give you some options, but just take it as it comes. Do what feels right. Skip the parts that don't. If you're on a yoga mat, I'll get you to walk up to the short side of your mat so you have space behind you to step back into. If you're not on a mat, that's okay. Just make sure there's a little bit of room behind you. So we stand in mountain pose to begin with. Again, that tall, sturdy, upright position, engaged. Taking a full steady breath in and letting that go, maybe with a little sound or a sigh. We'll reach up as we breathe in, joining the hands and following our hands forward as we breathe out. Hands to legs, inhale. Exhale, this is where we change it up. Our hands come all the way down to the ground. Stepping back with the one foot, bringing that knee down onto the floor. We're going to lift up onto the knee. Inhale, arms reach up, lunging forward. Exhale. Have another breath in. Maybe take your eyes towards your fingertips and release. Your hands come down. Now, if the floor is a bit too far away, rather than the hands coming down first, you could step that foot back first. We're going to end up on our hands and our knees. So hands come down, hands and knees on the ground. Inhale here, and then we're lower and we're coming all the way down onto the ground. Hands under shoulders for a back bend. This is called Cobra Pose. As you inhale, gently lifting your head away from the ground. That can be very small, that can be big, or anywhere in between. You're not trying to get as big as possible. You're looking for what feels right. And then we push all the way up from there. You're in your tabletop position. Either stay here or possibly sit into your resting child's pose position. And the third alternative would be to come into what's called downward facing dog, this A-frame shape. So you just choose what feels right to you. Or maybe what feels right is to sit up and rest for a moment in a seated position. Wherever you are, just making the changes, the movements, the adjustments that feel necessary for your body, trusting your instinct there.
learning to understand our bodies a bit better so that we can look after ourselves. Good one. From wherever you are, let's bring the knees back down onto the ground. Same foot you stepped back, we're now going to step that foot forward. Inhale, lifting onto the other knee. Exhale to lunge. Maybe your eyes look up for a moment. Inhale. Exhale, we're releasing. Either the hands come down first or we step the back foot forward first. So either or, we end up back up at the top of our mat, front of our space, hands on legs. Inhale, forward fold, exhale, lifting all the way up to stand. Inhale, back to mountain pose, standing upright, tall and strong. Let's do that one more time. Same thing, sun salutation. Inhale, reaching up. Following your hands forward as you exhale, hands touch your own legs. Inhale. Exhale, bend the knees as much as you need to get your hands to the ground, stepping back with your other foot. Knee touches down. Inhale, lifting. Exhale, lunging. Inhale, possibly looking up for a moment. Exhale, release. Remember, either hands down first or foot steps back first. Moving from your tabletop down to the ground. Inhale, Cobra Pose. Exhale, release. Inhale, lifting. Finding what feels right here. So you've got choices to stay here in a tabletop, to rest in child's pose, to lift up and into a downward facing dog. Or again, maybe none of those suit you and there's something else you can sense that your body wants to do, and feel free to do that. Noticing how each shape feels, making adjustments that suit you. 2 more breaths. Last breath here. Good one. If your knees are not on the ground, we'll bring them to the ground. The foot you stepped back, we now step it forward. Inhale, reaching up. Exhale to lunge. Inhale, maybe taking your eyes up for a moment, and then we release to close off the sun salutation. The back foot steps forward. Inhale, hands to legs. Exhale, your unique standing forward bend. Inhale, rising up to stand. Exhale, returning to our mountain pose. Pausing, steady breath in, letting that go. Awesome. So we'll move from there into some centering positions, or some people might call them balancing positions. Balancing kind of infers that you could do it incorrectly if you're not balancing, and that's not the case. It's not about actually standing on one foot. It's just about noticing the challenges, how we respond to them. So we'll take a simple tree pose, nothing too fancy. You're standing on one leg, nice and strong and firm in that leg. The other foot might rest at your ankle. That feels okay, or it could move up to your shin or your thigh. So up to you. A few things to try out just as an experiment. If you're feeling a bit wobbly, really grounding through that standing foot and lifting tall through the top of your head. So you've elongated your spine, nice and tall and firm. Another thing that helps me is looking at something in front of me that's still, that's not moving. Also by centering my attention. So by pushing my hands together at my center, it seems to help me to center myself a little bit more. And finally, my breathing is something that can really help me here. If I can find a steady pace with my breath, it seems to help me feel steady as I pause here in this position for another couple cycles of breath. Arms can do whatever you'd like, reaching them up, keeping them down, using them for balance. Good one. And then we'll release that side so that foot comes to the ground. And maybe the leg you're standing on is a bit sore. You might want to shake it out.
Shake the arms out. You might even shake your head out. Just sort of let go of that experience, positive, negative, however it was for you. We'll just give it a go on the other side, starting fresh, pushing down into your standing foot, really firming that leg and really using the muscles of that leg to help to keep you upright, to keep you strong and lifted. Placing your other foot wherever is appropriate, keeping it on the ground or shifting it up onto your leg. And then using any of those other tools that might be helpful for you. Lifting tall, centering, using your gaze and your breath as ways to steady yourself. Notice what works for you, what doesn't. So that when you're challenged outside of this yoga experience, you can call on those same skills to help you through that challenge. So what you're doing here translates into your life outside of this moment. Let's take a couple more cycles of breath. Good one. And as you finish there, releasing that foot to the floor. And again, maybe shaking out your limbs, your head, your arms and legs. Awesome. So let's wrap up this practice by coming down onto the floor and reclining down onto our backs to finish off. We'll take a twist from reclining and then we'll have a little rest and a breathing practice. So if you don't have the space to recline down, you can always come back and sit on a chair or in a seat and take your twist from sitting. And if you are reclining, I'll just get you to bring your feet to the ground so that your knees are bent and pointed up at the ceiling. But we'll take the feet and bring them right next to each other. If you have the space to slide your arms slightly away from you, that might be helpful. I'm going to drop my knees over to my left. So in order to create the space for that, I'm lifting my hips up first, moving them to the right, and then dropping my knees to the left. Now, if your knees don't quite come all the way to the ground, that's okay. They could hover there. Or again, you might have a pillow or something nearby that you could place underneath your legs as support. You might choose to turn your head in the opposite direction as your knees, to either stretch your arms out, reach them overhead, or just keep them at your sides, up to you. So again, as with all of these positions, looking for the variation that suits your body today, and noticing what it's like to stay in that shape for a few moments, how it affects your breathing, how it makes you feel, adjusting it whenever you feel like that's necessary. Good one. And as you're ready, we'll shift to the other side. So the knees point back up to the ceiling, and then maybe it'd be helpful for you to move your hips now over to the opposite side, knees dropping down to the right, using a prop under your knees if that would feel helpful. Letting your head turn in whatever direction feels best in your neck. And just pausing here. How does it feel to twist? Where do you notice this twist? If you're in a seat, just similar to what we did at the start, one hand behind you, one hand on the opposite leg so that you can twist. One more steady breath here. And then we'll release coming out of the twist. So to finish off, we'll do a breathing practice. I just want you to find a comfortable position there on your back, or if you are seated, a comfortable seated position. If you feel like you need to wiggle around a little bit first, please feel free to add any other movements. And then we'll take an extended exhalation. So I'm going to come up for this, but please feel free to just stay on your back if you are reclined. I'll just talk you through this breathing practice and we'll do a few cycles to finish off the session. So this is called an extended exhalation. All that simply means is that your exhalation is longer than your inhalation. And the reason why we would do that is by focusing on our exhalation in that way and extending it out a bit longer than the inhalation, it tends to have a calming effect for us. Our nervous system settles a bit. So this is the idea behind it. Always notice what's happening for you. And if that is the effect it's having for you, great. If not, then please feel free to discontinue it at any time. So as I did at the start, I'll count this one out, inhaling to a count of 4 and exhaling to a count of 6. So it's a bit longer. If those numbers don't work for you, please just change them to two numbers that work for you, with the exhale being longer than the inhale. All right, so we're all on the same page. Let's just exhale. And then we'll begin together. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, and exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, and exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Again, inhale. And exhale. Again, inhale. And exhale. Last round, inhale. And exhale. Good. So just noticing as you finish off that breathing practice, how you feel. So from the breathing practice, from the yoga session itself, without that being a judgment, it doesn't matter. Just notice as a way of finishing off your yoga session, the effect that this has had for you. And I'll just give you about 30 seconds there just to rest, lying down or whatever position you're in, with no demands, just having a moment and checking in with your body. Now, if you'd like to continue to rest as you are, by all means, stay just as you are. If you're ready to finish off your yoga practice, I invite you to come back up to a seat. So we'll finish off just by, again, checking in with yourself. Notice the way you feel at the finish. Has anything shifted? Has anything changed for you from start to finish? And then if it resonates, if it feels okay for you to place a hand at your chest and the other hand on top, or to place your hands to your opposite arms, a gesture of gratitude towards yourself. Tell yourself thank you for making the effort, for turning up today, for treating your body to this practice. Steady breath in. And again, as we did before, feel free to sigh, make a sound as you breathe out. Thank you so much for joining me. It's a pleasure to be with you, even virtually. You take care, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.